But first was supposed to be a finals preview until somebody decided they didn't want to finish a sweep. Thanks, Dallas. Hit the music. Just playing. All credit in the world to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who went out there and saved their season. On the road, you got to give them credit for that. But I got some jokes. Y'all know me. I got some jokes. Number one, the one game that a couple Dallas Cowboys showed up was the playoff game that the Dallas Mavericks choked. Come on now. The jokes write themselves on that one. And I'm sure by the time some of you hear this, Stephen A has already cracked these jokes either on Twitter, Get Up, or First Take. Don't care. I'm doing it right after the game, so I did it first. More importantly, though, everybody, I would like to welcome Karl Anthony Towns to the Western Conference Finals. 22nd half points, 7 for 10 from the field in the second half, was 9 for 13 for the entire game, 4 for 5 from 3. It's like it finally clicked. Hey, I'm minimum 20 pounds and 3 inches taller than every other big on the floor. I don't have to take more than 5 threes. Maybe I could take my big ass to the paint in the mid-range every once in a while and see how that works out for me. Turned out pretty well. And for someone who we get on his plus minus all the time, he had the highest plus minus out of everybody on the Timberwolves of plus 15. Granted, Anthony Edwards had half of that because he played 40 minutes and he didn't foul out like Karl Anthony Towns. I gotta stop giving Karl these backhanded compliments. Karl played great. End of sentence. Anthony Edwards with a 29-10 with a season on the line in the fourth quarter, got 3 major buckets to keep him in the game. Gotta salute it. Rudy Gobert with the double-double also managed to defend without fouling in the fourth quarter. I was sure he was gonna foul out too, but he didn't. Shout out to him. Now we gotta go over to the Mavericks. And this is the downside of Luka Doncic, if there is one for someone who's a walking 39-9. It's when the shot isn't falling, he's not gonna stop shooting. He went 7 for 21. That is 30%. That's awful by all standards, especially for him. But he's not gonna stop. He's gonna keep shooting. Still got a triple-double. He went for 28, 10, and 15, but he got 10 of those off free throws and was a minus 13 plus minus. We got 42 minutes from Kyrie. It looked more like OKC series Kyrie, where he's like, I'm gonna wait a little bit to step on the gas. I'm gonna pick my spots a little bit more. I don't know. It really seemed like Dallas this entire game was kind of waiting for Minnesota to take big leads before they really decided to kick it into high gear. They just got comfortable with making those late game comebacks, and that's all well and good when you already got it going a little bit in the game. But if it's not already in the rhythm of the game, sometimes shit don't work out that way and you're in the fourth quarter and you end up losing. But I'm almost thankful to the Timberwolves right now because I didn't know how much NBA final stuff I wanted to do this podcast, considering next week, the day after this podcast comes out, would be the first game of the NBA Finals. So I could have emptied a clip on that day. So I still got all my notes for Dallas and Boston, and I'd be more than happy to switch on over to Boston and Timberwolves notes in the event that the Timberwolves actually win. That would be super fun for me. Real quick on the Boston Celtics before we get to our next topic. I am so proud of this team. For where we are right now, I know job's not finished, and I love Kobe Bryant too. I know everyone's like, save the pride for when we're done. Fuck that. Enjoy the moment right now, bro. Enjoy it right now. You're not guaranteed a trip to the finals. Nobody is. The Nuggets thought they were. Their ass is at home right now. You got to cherish these moments. And the thing I really took away from the Pacers series, I know everyone's doing the Celtics have the cakewalk to the finals thing. The rings shine all the same. Do what you want with that information. Every single game the Celtics won, with the exception of game 2, there were multiple chances for the Celtics to choke that game away, and they did not. After an entire season, not even a whole season, the entire Tatum and Jaylen Brown run, those late games where they have to make those late comebacks, I watched them lose those games for 7 years. No matter who they're playing, I've watched them lose those games for almost a decade, and they won all of them. Again, I don't care who's on the other side of the floor, because I've never cared who's on the other side of the floor for the Celtics. It's never been about them. It's been about us. And someone on Twitter, I can't remember the name right now. If I could find it while I'm editing, I'll put it in for the video. Says something to the effect of, you know that feeling you get when you're watching your team and they end up losing and you're like, you know what? They played great, hard-fought game. They ended up losing in the end. You got to take that on the chest. You'll get them next time. I have never felt that way about a Celtics loss a day in my life because we don't lose like that. We lose because we play like idiots. I have never seen the Celtics play their best and lose, ever. In the past, we'll call it since the bubble season. Later in this podcast, we do the entire arc of Jason Tatum's career that kind of paints the picture of this, but since the bubble season, I have yet to see the Celtics play at their fullest potential and lose. Because it doesn't happen. This team has always been talented enough to do it. And now, they're in the finals with a chance to get it done. All I can ask for at this point in the season is a chance. The finals didn't happen yet. This is as good as it can be at this very moment. This is the highest point of success the Celtics can be at. And I'm proud of this team, bro. I'm proud of this team. And no matter who ends up winning this series between the T-Wolves and Dallas, because you never know how this turns out. No matter who ends up winning, I can't wait to see what my Celtics do to them. Now I'll address the cakewalk point. Guys, the Boston Celtics won 64 games this year. They were 14 games better than the rest of the Eastern Conference and 7 games better than the number 1 seed in the West. I regret to inform you, this was going to happen anyways. This was always going to happen, injuries or otherwise. You want to tell me that the barely made the playoff Heat were going to knock off the Celtics if Jimmy Butler played, who hasn't been Jimmy Butler all year? You go ahead and believe that as the Celtics are in the finals. You going to tell me if Joel Embiid was healthy throughout the Knicks series that they lost, that they were going to end up pulling it out? All right, believe that if you want. But I said before the playoffs even started, if the Celtics wanted to be taken seriously as a playoff contender, none of these series should go more than 5 games. And none of them did. And I don't think they would have anyways, because it has never been about the team on the other side of the Boston Celtics. It has always been about, are the Boston Celtics going to show up today, or are they going to play like dickheads? And outside of the 2 losses, they haven't played like dickheads for the entire run of the playoffs. And now June 6th, the journey continues.